What is up, everybody, and welcome to FLW Videos. Before we get started with today's episode, I want to go ahead and say thank you so much for the support on the channel. These past couple of months have been absolutely crazy, and because of that, we were able to cross 50,000 subscribers. When I started this channel a little over a year or two ago, I never in my life thought I would be able to say something like that. So in appreciation, I want to go ahead and celebrate it by doing a live stream during the December Community Day, as well as filming a vlog during that Community Day weekend as well, and then finally doing a giveaway on the channel. I've already got something in the works. I just have to wait for the prize to come in so that I can talk about it. So make sure that you do have that notification bell on. And if you are new, make sure to hit that subscriber button if you are interested in that. But with all of that being said, I figured we might as well go ahead and talk about today's topic. And this is something that I've kind of covered in the past, whether we're talking about the biggest buffs that occurred because of the CP rework, but something that I've never exclusively talked about was what are the best Pokemon in Pokemon Go that got even better because of the CP rework. So today we will be talking about those top 5. And with all of this being said, if you're a little curious as to how I came up with this, well, the CP rework affected the defense stat as well as the HP stat. There are no Pokemon that got a buff in defense, but some of them did get a change of 0, while on the other hand, almost all Pokemon did get a buff in the HP department. So now that you know exactly how that works and how I've came up with this, let's go ahead and get into the video. In at the number 5 spot is Gengar. With a max CP of 2,878, Gengar is a dual type of Ghost and Poison typing. As far as the typing is concerned, we will be talking about Gengar from the Ghost typing perspective. Now, although Mewtwo can technically outperform Gengar because of Shadow Ball, it is not necessarily better in all cases, so we need to go ahead and focus on Gengar as a pure Ghost type attacker. Meaning that we just got that double stab move whether you are using Lick Shadow Ball or you are using Shadow Claw Shadow Ball. This is a Pokemon that is definitely worth this list. So as far as the changes in the stats are concerned, if we take a look at the difference of the defense stat, there is a difference of -7, which is actually the biggest difference on this entire list. While on the other hand, if we check out the stamina difference, we got a +35 in the stamina, which at the same time is actually the highest buff that we will see on this list. And as far as the overall CP difference, we have a difference of +259, which is the highest on this list. So as far as this Pokemon is concerned, Gengar was already a very good option, but a lot of people kind of shied away from it because it was such a glass cannon and it could technically outperform it, but the amount of feints that would come along with it made it not worth it from a practical perspective. But with this massive boost in the HP, it made Gengar all of a sudden a technically best Pokemon, one that is that much more usable, which is why I decided to include it on this list. Number 4, Machamp. With a max CP of 3,056, Machamp is a pure fighting type Pokemon. So yes, most notable is that Machamp did cross that 3,000 CP barrier. So the reason why Machamp is on this list is because if you take a look at the statistical differences, we have a defense difference of just -3, while at the same time, we have a stamina difference of +27, giving it an overall CP difference of 167. Of course, you do have competition like Breloom, but in most cases, Machamp can still outpace it, and even when it can't outpace it, it does make up for it in the lower number of feints versus Breloom. So it's one of those cases where if you go out and raid with someone and you've got 20 people, yes, Breloom could be a better option because of DPS. At the same time though, Machamp is better on its own. And with the ideal moveset of Counter and Dynamic Punch, the best moveset from a fighting type standpoint, you have a Pokemon that was already number 1 from the fighting type that got even better because of the CP rework, and I know that Machamp is heavily one of the favorite Pokemon from the fighting typing, which is why it made it in at the number 4 spot on this list. Number 3, Moltres. With a max CP of 3,465, Moltres is a dual type of fire and flying. So as far as these stats are concerned, the reason why Moltres made it on this list is because we don't have that much of a change defensively. We've got a -3. At the same time, we have a plus stamina difference of 27, making a CP overall difference of 193. So with all of this being said, The reason why Moltres has made it on this list is actually from two different typings, from the fire as well as from the flying type. And you could actually include all of the legendary birds because they got pretty much the same type of buff. But for Moltres, the reason why it is more significant than the other legendary birds is because it remains at the #1 spot from two different typings. So as far as the fire typing is concerned, you of course want Fire Spin and Overheat. Now, you don't have any choices on the quick move just because Fire Spin is literally the only move available. But then at the same time, we ended up getting a legendary bird day for Moltres, and with that, we gained access to the move Sky Attack. Now, this may not seem significant since we don't have a double flying type stab move, but at the same time, Sky Attack is so much better than Aerial Ace. So you have a Pokemon that can actually outperform Rayquaza despite having a lower attack stat, just because of having a move set that is so much better. So that is why I decided to put Moltres on this list. It's #1 from the fire type, it's #1 from the flying type, and it ended up getting a buff out of all of this, and that is why we put it in at the #3 spot. Number 2, Rayquaza. With a max CP of 3,835, Rayquaza is a dual type of dragon and flying type. The defensive stat did not change, and as you remember earlier in the video, I said that the best case scenario was that the defense stat changed 0. There were no pluses whatsoever, so this is the best case scenario. At the same time, you have a stamina difference of +22 and a CP difference of 190, which is definitely in the middle of this list. So why do we bring up Rayquaza? Well, as I mentioned before with Moltres, I kind of dismissed it from the flying type, and yes, it is still a very solid option from the flying type, but we are going to talk about Rayquaza specifically from the dragon typing. Rayquaza was already the #1 attacker from the dragon typing, and when you have a moveset like this that is the absolute best moveset from the dragon type perspective, and you have stats like what it has with such an amazing attack stat, Rayquaza was destined to be one of the best dragon type attackers. But in the past, the only criticism was that it did act a little bit like a glass cannon. But with a stamina increase, this made a Pokemon that could perform the best from the dragon typing even better. And so even though there are some other dragon types that got a buff out of this, such as Salamence, such as Dragonite, Rayquaza definitely moved that bar up even more than what it was in the past, which is why it is in at the #2 spot. And we saved the best for last. In at the #1 spot is Mewtwo. With a max CP of 4,178, Mewtwo is a pure Psychic type Pokemon. Most notable is that the CP did cross that 4,000 CP threshold, and if we take a look at the stats as far as the defense stat is concerned, it had 0 change, while at the same time the stamina difference did go up for a +21. The overall CP difference is 196. So this Pokemon on this list actually got the least amount of buff from the HP department, but at the same time though, you do receive an overall buff. And this is already one of the best Pokemon in the game for so many reasons. And including the Mewtwo month, we have access to so many different movesets, which makes Mewtwo extremely versatile. For the most part though, it does remain as that #1 attacker from the Psychic typing, as well as a solid option from the Ghost typing as well. Only issue being is that it is an EX raid exclusive move to get Shadow Ball. But regardless of that, this Pokemon was already the best from so many different ways. Then with the CP rework, it made it even better, which is why I decided to put it in at the #1 spot on this list. So that just about wraps up this video. I want to go ahead and end on a question of the day. Out of these Pokemon, which one are you most excited about? And is there one that you think deserves to be mentioned on this list? Go ahead and let me know in the comments section below. And if you did find this video helpful, make sure to like and subscribe, and I will see you next time. Hit me like a tidal wave, ooh, triggered by the aftershock. Hit me like a tidal wave. I can't hit these high notes. How does he do this? This is impossible. I give up.